Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Souls games and Souls adjacent games. I brought my buddy Chintz on to discuss and rank them tier by tier. You saying
Deal.
what's up, pussy? All right, so we got two games I am unfamiliar with that you have played. Absolver is up front.
So Delver, definitely B tier.
B tier. Why so?
Um, I enjoy the martial arts mechanics in that game. How you're able to mix and match different combos from the different martial arts paths you're able to take. It's got co-op and PvP, which can be pretty interesting.
Nice. So here's another one I am not familiar with. We're getting these two out of the way first. Is Ashen. I probably beat about 70% of these games, but I know you've beat like 90 or 100% of these. Ashen. What is your thoughts on Ashen?
I'd also put Ashen at B tier. It's another solid Souls-like game. It's got some interesting concepts. The world's pretty interesting.
Okay, so let's go Bloodborne. Now, you have a lot of experience with this game. Me, not so much. I actually never beat Bloodborne. I got most of the way through it and gave up way back in the day and never went back to it for some reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah, Bloodborne for me is definitely an S tier. I really enjoy the gothic design of the world, the interconnecting paths, and the trick weapons. Oh, and also the Chalice dungeons are really great in the ways that other players can share their codes for you to be able to get different Chalice dungeons items or different blood gems items, etc.
Yeah, and you recently played the port for I guess the emulated version of Bloodborne on PC, and how did that go?
It ran pretty solid. I had to download a couple mods to help with the stability, but overall the game it crashed like 4 times for my playthrough, which really isn't that bad for a brand new emulator. Personally, it was really great to play at 60 FPS. I tried playing it on my PlayStation not too long ago, and once you get PC, trying to play at 30 FPS,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like I'm just kind of spoiled now.
Oh yeah. Well, it
Really
just
not
ruins
that
it.
bad, but
Plus, you
it's
got a
just hard
4K
to look at a
monitor
little
and your
bit.
7900 XTX, so you're balling out over there.
Yeah, no, the emulator is awesome. Props to the people that worked so hard to put it out. Continue to work on it. Hopefully, we'll get multiplayer soon.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that was missing from it. I wanted to play it with Damien, but no co-op. So
All right. So Code Vein is a game we have both played. Very anime-esque, I would say. But for me,
yeah,
it's a C
I'd
tier
probably
game.
put it at a C tier. Yeah, it's one of the few games on this list that tries to do difficulty by just throwing a bunch of enemies at you, and that's
Yeah.
personally my least favorite way of spiking a difficulty in a game.
Yeah, when you add, instead of being all like, okay, we'll just ramp it up slightly, it's just like, oh, here have, instead of like making the enemies harder per se, we'll just throw 15 of them at you and call it good. So, Another Crab's Treasure, I have not played this, but I know you are an enjoyer of this game.
I personally think Another Crab's Treasure is an A tier Souls-like. I think it's got a great soundtrack, just like nice chill vibe for a Souls-like. It's not too hard. It's got a lot of accessibility features. It can help you get through the game if you're struggling.
That's one game that I do want to pick up. Like, I want it for Steam Deck because it seems like such a great Steam Deck game. But like next time it goes on sale, I'm definitely grabbing it. It looks fucking awesome to me because like I really enjoyed games like Death's Door and stuff like that. Like those games were fucking awesome, and it seems similar to that type of style anyway.
Yeah, it also has like a bunch of different shells. Each shell gives you different abilities you can use to fight with, which can make combat interesting.
Sick. So, Dark Souls 2. This is my very first experience with the Souls series. I played this one before anyone else, not anyone else, but any other game. This is my first one, so I didn't know what I was kind of missing with the other ones. But I think this is a solid game.
I really like Dark Souls 2. I recently did a playthrough that actually made me like it a little bit less, just because of some of the ways the mechanics for it. Hitboxes are ass cheeks in that game.
Yeah, it's a little more jank than your average.
I probably would put it at, I don't know. Like, for me, it's in between an A and a B tier, so I'll leave it up to you and what you want to decide where you want to put it.
I put it in B.
Yeah, I agree with
definitely
that.
B tier. B tier is still a good game. Like, it's better than, like, I don't know if it's better than these two games, but I'm assuming it's better than these two.
Yeah, I would say it is for sure.
All right, so now we got the OG Demon Souls. So when I never played this game till the remake came out for PS5, and I remember you wanting to play it so bad, so I borrowed you my PS5 so you could play it to avoid buying a console. And at that time, you couldn't get a PS5 to save your life. I just fucking lucked out.
Yeah, for me personally, I'd put Demon Souls in an A tier. It's what started it all. Especially with the remake has great effects. They did a great job with the graphics. I don't know. I personally really enjoyed Demon Souls. I probably played it only really once because, like you said, I borrowed your PlayStation to play it. But
yeah, but you played OG Demon Souls a lot more than that.
I did play the original Demon Souls a long time ago. I don't know. I gotta put it at A tier because it's the OG.
Yeah, started it off. Great game, good combat. Now this game here, I don't even know what it's called. Erden Trail or
Anotria, the last song.
Now
That's definitely a C tier for me.
C tier, yeah, definitely. But I've never, like, I watched you stream it. It looked okay to me, but like it didn't interest me enough to be like, oh, I gotta go pick that up the next day.
Yeah, it's a pretty generic Souls. Like, it does have the same sort of style as Mortal Shell, and I guess you could say Another Crab's Treasure, where you have different masks that kind of change your stats and abilities you're able to do as that character and create different builds. But it's got very mid combat.
Yeah, like I remember I watched you stream it a bit, and I was not impressed enough to pick it up, and I usually will grab a game if it looks good.
Well, one thing that pisses me off, if this happens in any game, but for that particular game, I found a sword, like pretty much right off the bat, like pretty much the first weapon I found, and that was like I used that for the entire game. It was like the best weapon.
Yeah, that's always it's always a bit of a pet peeve where you grab like
it's like Sekiro sort of, where enemies have like a stance meter.
Oh yeah.
And for whatever reason, this one straight sword just did like a fuckload of stance damage. So, and it was like the only weapon that did that much.
That's crazy. So up next, we got a game that I know we both enjoyed. We played the living fuck out of this when it came out. My game of the year 2024, Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong's definitely an S tier.
For sure.
The design,
the story's
and
great.
Bosses are very great. The story is good as well.
Combat's great. The fucking all the stances are cool. But being honest, I use Smash stance for 80% of the game, I would say.
I would say something about that for myself, and then right around the end, I realized that Pillar Stance is where it's at.
Yeah, Pillar Stance
is OP.
Pillar Stance. So I remember when I went back, because I didn't know there was that secret boss. I beat the game already, and then you told me, oh, you got to go back. Don't do New Game Plus. You got to go back and do these things, and then you can fucking fight. What the fuck is his name?
Erlang.
So I fought him. That was 50, 60 tries at least. Like, that boss was fucking hard. I had problems with him, and I had a lot of problems with the Mantis in that one as well.
Yeah, Erlang honestly a little bit BS. I found out that I don't know if you used it, but there's the one talisman that shoots a tornado or whatever.
Well,
It's
the
one of
fan,
the
yeah.
special the fans.
Yeah.
I never used it for the fight. I don't know if you
You beat it
did.
without the fan?
I didn't know that the fan
Oh,
fucking
fuck.
like breaks his armor,
I
so
could
I
have
beat him
never beat
without
it
the
without
fan.
that. I could have
I was
never beat
watching
it.
my other buddy play it, and I was like, damn, like no wonder I struggled so hard in this fucking boss.
I can't believe you beat it without it because it was.
I used the like golden needle, I think.
Oh. Yeah, that's good for. What boss was that?
Good for damage, but for the
needle was
golden,
good for that guy with all
dude.
the eyeballs and he had like the centipede legs or whatever.
Yeah.
So up next,
Yeah.
that I really
probably would put this one in B tier.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd say
solid B, but it's a great game though.
Yeah, I think it's a great game. It's got solid
the Star
combat.
Wars aspect to it really amped it up. I like the jiggle physics on those big ogres when you kill them because it's fucking hilarious.
Ogdo Bogdo.
Yeah, man, like, there was a lot of tough bosses in that game. Super tough bosses. Now, the sequel is up next, and this is a game I have not beat yet because when it launched, I had it had so many performance issues on PC that it drove me fucking wild. Like it would frame skip and like it would load shaders for an hour, then it would like, and I have a pretty beefy PC and it did not give a fuck. This game did not care what kind of PC you had. But
yeah, I didn't have like too much of issues playing it, but it did have performance issues, especially when it came to like frame rates and stuttering.
It was choppy at first.
But overall, I think it's a great game. The combat's good. They added so much more customization to Jedi Survivor when it comes to outfits, lightsabers.
And the open world aspect is a lot more.
The open world, there's a lot more quests to do. I would definitely put it at an A tier.
Yeah, jump it up. Like, they did improve on this one. I still have to go back and beat this. I think I'm about 50 to 60% of the way through this. I'll probably actually play this tonight. And then now, Lords of the Fallen is a game that I did not really enjoy that much.
I think that it's I don't know. I probably would put it at C tier. Yeah. It has some good things going for it with its world design and how it's kind of a layered world.
The dual mechanic can go into other dimension, kind of.
One thing that I think is really fucking cool, but also they just executed it absolutely terribly, is they essentially tried to do like a seamless co-op where like you can play co-op, you know, and run to the world. If you die, you don't like get kicked out. Go to new bonfires, level up together. But here's the thing, like, what is the fucking point of that if at me as the co-op player, I can't pick up any of the items in the world, so I end up having to do my own run anyways, because you know, you miss out on all the upgrade materials, all the items and shit.
That was the same problem I had with Far Cry 5, actually. You could jump into co-op, but you couldn't buy new guns. Like, the guy that was playing, like, whoever's co-op match it was, whoever hosted it, they could buy the weapons and drop them for you, but you couldn't carry that back to your game. And then, like, you can play the entire game and get zero fucking progression. It's really stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Just like, I think they should do it remember how Divinity 2 did it, where it kind of locked you into a save file, where it's like if that other person did not join the game, you could not continue playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I personally think that, like, I mean, it's a mod, but the seamless co-op mod for Elden Ring does it great, where you can just literally play the entire game together, pick up all the items, do everything.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome, but they kind of fumbled the ball a little on this one.
Yeah, for Mortal Shell, I would put it at a B tier because I really enjoyed it was one of the first games to do that kind of different characters you can unlock.
Yeah.
Like the different shells you have. Similar to what Enotria and those ones had, but it was one of the first ones to do it, and has a great world design. Combat is all right.
It's decent. Like I beat this game when it came out on PS4. I really like the rogue shell that you could get. I don't remember the name of the shell, but it's fast, it's quick. The swapping between the 4 different shells, like preset builds almost, was kind of fucking cool. And like a solid AA title though. Like you could tell it came from a AA studio,
sure, yeah.
and they killed it.
Yeah, definitely beats your solid game.
So the next one I grabbed, but it says it's a Souls-like, and I know you played this, and I know you got frustrated with it, but 9 Souls.
Yeah, I mean, I did get frustrated with it mostly because I just didn't really like the soundtrack. I must have been having a bad day that day. I refunded it. I ended up buying it again.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it this time, but it's not really a Souls-like. It's more of a Metroidvania, is what I would say.
Hollow Knight.
So I don't know if we would just put it in D tier for now because it's not really a Souls-like.
Not really Souls-like. I just put it on there. I think I mistakenly put it on there because I was like, oh.
It does have the Souls-like tag on Steam.
It says the Souls-like tag on Steam, and it has Souls in the fucking name, so it's tricking you. Bit of trickery going in here, but a D, good Metroidvania, but D for Souls-like game. So now the first Neo. This is another one I have not played. I played Neo 2, but I did not play the first Neo.
So I would put Neo 1 at A tier. It was one of the first Souls-likes to really come out, and did it in its own way, where it's kind of like a looter in that sense, where it's like Diablo, there's shit tons of loot.
Yeah, I know the second one is like that as well. But yeah, the combat seemed like, I've watched a lot of gameplay from this one. I am gonna go back and buy this one and play it, but I would say that the combat looks really good. But like, what are your feelings? What are the differences you feel between like a classic Souls and the Neo series?
The first biggest change would be probably the stances, how there's a low, medium, and high stance for each weapon, and doing that changes the way that you basically fight with each weapon.
How you take approaches to different parts. Bosses.
And like for example, you're fighting those horned like Oni. If you hit them in the head using like high stance, you break their horn, break their key, be able to attack them. Do more damage. It just was one of the first Souls-likes that changed things up, sort of, rather than just being a clone of Dark Souls.
Yeah, kind of did its own thing. Now, Neo 2, I know we were both a huge fan of this game.
Yeah, so I would put Neo 2 at S tier because
definitely.
Like it's just everything I said about Neo 1, but like better, basically.
Yeah. The loot is amazing in that game. The bosses are crazy. The game is fucking hard as nails. I do appreciate the difficulty in it. It's not too hard though, where it's unbearable.
Yeah, their thing I really like about Neo 2 is you can get some crazy builds going on in that game.
Yeah, the builds are crazy. The fucking enemies are great. The bosses are awesome. Okay, now we'll start with the OG Dark Souls. Yeah,
Dark Souls 1. Definitely going in the S tier.
Has to, yeah. Dark Souls 1, after I played 2, I went back and played 1, and
same for me actually.
The map's great, enemies are great, and like, I don't know, it's just the way that you can kind of, it's got that little bit of jank from like a beginning of the series kind of game, but it's still great.
Yeah, I really enjoy the way the world is interconnected. When you first kind of learn those different shortcuts to go in between the world, it just feels really rewarding in that sense.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, for me, like, the very first Dark Souls, like, I played a lot more of the remastered on Xbox than I did the OG version, but
I did play the original, like, Prepare to Die version. There's really not much of a difference. All they did in the remastered was like add some quality of life features and up the graphics a little bit. Really not much of a change.
Nice. So Remnant, this is a game I played and beat with my buddies Nathan and Ryan. We love this game. I love the random, the randomization of the maps and stuff like that, like what you can find. Really good Souls shooter, I would say, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's another one of the few games on this list that, kind of did its own thing, where it's the only one on this list would be like Gun Souls.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would put it at a B tier. It's a solid game.
Yeah,
with solid game with some solid mechanics, solid combat.
Okay, now Remnant 2, I think, is better than the first, but
yeah,
is it A tier better than the first, or is it?
I don't know. Like it's hard to say. Like, I think the boss design in Remnant 2 is far better.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay is a lot smoother, but I probably would put it in B tier as well. Like it's more of the same but better.
Nice. So this game we both have quite a bit of experience with, and I know out of our friend group we are the only two to successfully complete this game, because everybody gave up because they're pussies. But Sekiro.
Yeah, Sekiro is definitely another S tier.
Yeah, definitely. 100% S tier. Now this game, I love the parries. I admittedly am not very good at this game. The last boss took me 2 weeks at least to beat every day after work. 2 or 3 hours I put in until I finally beat him. But I lost my fucking mind when I beat this. Like almost coffee table flip emotions, because I was like so fed up with getting my fucking shit pushed in.
Yeah, it's definitely probably one of the few bosses in any game that really had me struggling. Like I remember that first time really fighting him for a bit, I just kind of put the game down for a couple days. I was like, I just needed a few days to like build up the strength.
Yeah.
To like sit down and just fucking bang my head against the wall until I beat him.
Yeah.
Now it's like brutal. I can fucking beat Ishin like first try, like without even having to be like chintz or anything. But that first time fighting him, that first playthrough of Sekiro is
it's brutal.
Extremely hard.
It's brutal. I gotta go back to it and beat it again. But I'm waiting for.
And there's bosses you haven't fought because you never fought like old, like if you do the Shura ending, you fight Emma and then you fight like old Ishin.
No, I think I just got the bog standard ending.
Yeah. Old Ishin's actually pretty hard too.
But like, I think it was the first time that FromSoft kind of came out and they made like a whole new system, like totally different than anything else. Like the parry system is fucking phenomenal, but like it will piss you off. You're gonna get mad. You're gonna think things are unfair. You're gonna play the ape fight and you're gonna get pissed when you cut his head off. Then he picks it up after you think you beat him and he tries to fucking kill you, and he probably will. Lady Butterfly gave me a lot of trouble, and like overall I love the game, but nothing frustrated me more than this game. Like, it fucking drove me up the wall that I wasn't that good at it.
Yeah, it's definitely made me rage, I think, the most. Well, I don't know, probably I would say it's up there. I probably would say Dark Souls 2, but that was just because that was my very first Souls game.
Yeah.
I remember going over to my buddy Vaughn's house. He was the one I originally played Dark Souls with. And I was walking over to his house. I knock on the door, like knocking, nobody's answering. I can hear like the sound of the game kind of coming from the window above me, and there's a bunch of boards stacked in front of the window.
You're like peeping Tom.
And I stand on the boards and peek my head through the window, and he's sitting at the couch and he's fighting the rune sentinels, and he'd been stuck on them for like a day or two. And I'm sitting there watching him through the window as he fucking struggles and he beats the boss. That's a core memory right there.
The old Peepin' Tom Dark Souls story. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so up next we got Liza P. I love this game.
I personally think Liza P is an S tier.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's the closest thing you could play to about a Bloodborne 2 right now. The way that its world is designed. It's also got a interconnecting world, very gothic art style. The whole Pinocchio aspect is interesting too, putting a spin on that story.
The handle swaps on all the weapons is fucking
really the way you can build all the different weapons. Oh, and you know what?
Yo, go ahead.
I also did a recent playthrough, and another game on the list, Wolong here. They did a collaboration with Wolong where they added a weapon from that, and that thing is completely fucking busted, man. It's so good.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I remember you could put like a rapier handle on like a giant sword and like probably not the best thing to do, but you could like stab at people and you'd have this giant sword, and it's like for like you're poking with it.
I put the wrench head on the rapier handle. I used that for a little bit.
That's cool. So
I don't know. I think I just want to say one last thing. I think the quality for Lies of P is up there with a FromSoft game. Like, it's one of the few games that has. It's made very well.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm trying to say.
I loved it when it came out. I played it on Game Pass because I'm a cheap fucker. I never actually bought it, but.
I did too, the first playthrough.
But you're notorious. Like, you bought Elden Ring twice so you could trade items between characters. You made another Steam account.
Yeah, I mean, I needed to make them builds, you know?
Yeah, get on top of it. So this is a game we both played. I played it a little bit more than you. Is Steel Rising. But I fucking hate this game. I think it sucks dick.
Yeah, I only played it for a little bit. I ran around for a bit and immediately refunded it. Just wasn't a fan of the style, wasn't a fan of the movement is what really did it for me.
Oh, it's so
didn't really like the movement, so
like, you're an android in the game, but the problem with it is it fucking feels like a 18th century fucking android, where it feels clunky, she moves like shit, the game story fucking sucks. I don't know.
If I remember, too, the price was a little bit much, too, for the quality of the game. So that was part of the reason why I refunded it.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely better Souls-likes out there, and for me,
I think that's the only one here that I would put in straight booty cheeks.
Yeah, straight booty cheeks. Like, that's a piece of shit. Okay, so The Surge, a game that I liked and I know you liked. The customization of the exoskeleton, where you can add parts, take away parts, and make your own build off that, I thought was really unique.
The targeting for each body part and the way you can cut their arms or head or legs off is also a nice addition to the Souls-like formula. So I also really enjoyed The Surge. It's one of the first Souls-likes to come out, I think.
Yeah, because I played it on PS4. I wasn't even on PC at this time.
Yeah, it came around like with Neo, The Surge, and I want to say something else, but I can't think of it. But I probably would put, I don't know. I think we should put the first one on C tier and the second one on B tier.
Okay, so the second one is pretty much the Surge one, just slightly improved, I would say.
That's true.
A little bit more.
I don't know. It's hard to say if it's on the same level as like Dark Souls 2, but
no. Like, we'll rearrange the tiers once we're done from best to worst or worst to best or whatever. Okay, now Thymesia. This is a game that you played that I did not.
I would probably put Thymesia at a C tier, but like it's got good, like, it's actually got good combat, but it's a very short game. It's only about 8 hours. Nothing too crazy about it. It's got a Dark Souls kind of mixed with Sekiro style combat.
Was it like a full price game for 8 hours of gameplay?
It was like 30 or 40 bucks. But it has a great soundtrack and some pretty interesting bosses. I personally enjoyed it.
All right. So middle of the road, nothing special really. Okay, so Wolong Fallen Dynasty. This is a game that I did not really enjoy. I found it very mid.
Yeah, for me this was one of the bigger letdowns because it's from the same developers as Neo. And that was before Lies of P came out. I would say that it was like the golden standard for Souls-likes.
Oh, yeah.
uh, I didn't enjoy the way they changed the combat. You know, some games, like I said, Thymesia can do like a good like parrying and Dark Souls style combat, but they try to do that for Wolong, and I just think it didn't work. They dumbed down the stats. Like it's not even close to as in depth as Neo is when it comes to making builds. There's less weapon types.
The only thing I liked about this game is they had a unique feature where you could block, and when they would come in to hit you, you could parry it without breaking the block, so you could still do a successful parry when you're blocking if you had enough spirit gauge, and then you could do that, which I found was cool, but it wasn't enough to like put it way up for me. But it was a pretty big letdown for me. This game is anywhere from C to D. Like I don't think it's D, maybe D plus, but what are your
I don't know. I think it belongs in a C tier. The only thing that would make it a D tier for me is just because I was disappointed with the developers. Honestly, just I had my expectations up a little bit.
Okay, now this is a game me and you are both extremely familiar with. Dark Souls 3.
Dark Souls 3 is another S tier for sure.
Oh yeah, has to be. There's no doubt.
I think that's like they definitely kind of perfected the Dark Souls formula with that one.
The bosses in that game were absolutely insane. Like Nameless King took me a week to beat. Like it was like boss after boss was great. The layout of the world is great.
And some of the best, I personally think out of all the Souls-like games, Dark Souls 3 has the best PvP. I spent so much time doing PvP in that game on Xbox. I have every character slot full. 10 characters, can't even make another one. Just ganking in Irithyll, doing invasions, arena. Yeah, that game has a special place in my heart for sure.
Oh yeah. Like I remember when this game came out, I bought it. I started playing it, and then my brother, he was like, "Oh man, you're playing that Dark Souls 3? Should I get it?" I'm like, "No, it's too hard for you. You're gonna get mad." He bought it anyway. He wanted to return it. I'm like, "You can't return a disc-based game, you fucking dingleberry." But yeah,
I mean, it's definitely not for everyone. I know. I didn't mention this when we talked about Dark Souls 1, but I remember renting Dark Souls 1 when I was probably like 8 or 9.
When you can still
somewhere in that range at the movie gallery.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was the spot.
I just couldn't understand how, like, what to do. Like, for one, I didn't realize that there was 2 paths, and I kept going down to fight the skeletons, you know, towards the catacombs. Yeah. And I just kept getting my ass beat over and over again. I'd start as a pyromancer. I'd run out of fireballs and be like, well, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah, I need a sword.
And then I ended up taking the game back. I was like, this game fucking sucks.
I did the same thing, but it was longer than that ago. I was Superman 64 I rented from Movie Gallery, and I was very frustrated that I could not get past the first stage because it's fucking... That game's notoriously fucked, though.
I want to talk about hard games. Fucking old games were on another level. Like, fucking, what is it? Ghouls and Ghosts or Ghouls and Goblins? Like,
I have beat that game, by the way.
That game, that's a hard fucking game.
And the thing about that game is you have to beat it twice in order to beat it. Like, you got to beat it once, it's a fake ending, then you got to run through the entire game again, and then you get the true ending.
I'm good at Sekiro and shit like that, but you're way better at me when it comes to those kinds of games.
That's because I'm older than you, though. Because I grew up with the shitty platformers. Like, I played a lot of Sega, really hard Sega fucking platformers back in the day.
Platformers aren't really for me. I don't mind them. I do enjoy some of them, but yeah, I'm just not good at them.
You weren't a huge Cuphead fan. Like, you liked it, but you didn't beat it, I don't think.
Well, Cuphead is too hard for me.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because like Sekiro was almost too hard for me, but Cuphead, like I didn't have it wasn't an easy time, but I did beat it.
Yeah, I mean, I bet if I really wanted to, I could, but I just didn't
put the mustard.
It's not really my style of game.
So the last one,
and we got
Big
the
Daddy,
final,
no doubt in my mind, S tier has to be.
Yeah, 100% S tier. This is the big one, the one that brought pretty much Souls likes into the big eye of people.
Yeah,
It
like
brought a lot of people
everybody
into
plays
playing
this.
them. A lot of people's first Souls like, um, you know, you never can forget that first time opening that door and stepping into Limgrave,
Oh man, so good.
seeing the fucking rune sentinel and getting your ass beat by him a couple times
Yeah.
before you realize you should probably just walk past
Yeah,
him.
just run around for now. But like I have a lot of great memories with this game, particularly when we would play multiplayer. Remember, we'd always go to that fucking platform in the what's that area called?
Sorry, where we
Remember
were
that
doing PvP.
the Underdark place or whatever.
Oh, and like I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's Soifer River
Yeah,
or whatever,
we
the
would always
underground
put the
part.
colored stones in a big circle in there, and then we'd like shapeshift into like fucking trees and shit and hide, and then just wait for somebody to come and then beat their ass. And we do that for hours. It was so fun.
Blast him with a bone bow. When that
Yeah.
thing first came out, it had insane status build up, and the arrows are tracking too.
Oh yeah, I'd fucking hit him with the Claws of Night fucking from the DLC, and then just start bleeding them out immediately. They get so pissed.
Yeah,
But
this might be a hot take, but actually, it's not that I dislike the PvP in Elden Ring, but it's just it's so cheesy compared to like something like Dark Souls 3, where you have like a fight, you have a straight up, back and forth, but when you're fighting in Elden Ring, like everyone just wants to one shot you,
Oh,
like
yeah.
everyone's got the strongest thing they can possibly have, and they're trying to kill you as fast as they possibly
one
can.
hit, you're dead. There's
And
no
the problem
fucking
is, since there's no single, like you can't invade a host that's solo anymore. You kind of need like a build that's able to put out a bunch of burst damage, otherwise you're just never gonna win.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate.
I don't know, like I did a fair amount of PvP in Elden Ring, but I don't know, like I probably won't do it anymore unless it's like co-op.
Well, that
Like,
night rain's coming out. I don't know if you're fighting. I think that's more of like a roguelike or something. I'm not even sure what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no PvP in Night Rain.
Yeah. So, but Elden Ring in total, first playthrough was so grand. Like there was so many areas, so many builds, weapons out the ass, 100 and some bosses. Like it was non-stop thing. Like every corner you're finding something. There's something new around every corner, and you can play it. I've played the game for 205 hours, I think I have on my Steam, and you're what, 3 hours short of 700?
Yeah, like 697, something like that,
And
I
that
believe.
doesn't even count the fucking seamless co-op mod because it doesn't track gameplay, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure if I think it does count.
Does it count
for those kind of things? It's still through Steam.
Oh, okay.
Because like the Converge
launcher.
The mods I've been playing, I'm pretty sure that time counted.
That's another thing I wanted to dip into is the convergence mod and stuff like that. You have a lot of experience in modding Elden Ring. You want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, I've played a few different mods for Elden Ring. The best one I definitely would have to say is the convergence mod. It's a great overhaul mod. It adds tons of different weapons and great new bosses. 20, like about 27 different starting classes, and each one is they're all focused on different types of schools of magic. It's very heavily focused on magic. But it's not just like new bosses and weapons and magic that they add. They actually change like vast portions of the map, like climbing up the Tower of Liurnia. Instead of taking the ladder, you'll take a path all the way around the outside. Or Castle Morn is, it's fairly straightforward when you go there in vanilla, but in the mod it's changed so much, where there's actually two different bosses there, completely different way to traverse the castle. Most of the legacy dungeons are completely changed.
Yeah, and that's a great thing about that. So I want to get into the DLC for Elden Ring. Now, we both played it at the same time. We loved it. great. Like, it's definitely worth the money. The Skidoo fragments frustrated me because, like, the only reason why they frustrated me is I'm an idiot and I missed one right off the beginning, but I eventually did get all 20. I would like it if you could carry those into the base game. I think that would be really cool, but you can't, I guess.
Yeah, you'd just be insanely OP if you had like the Skidoo power from the ring. Being there fucking one-shotting bosses and shit. I get it. Would be nice. Yeah, but I understand why they restricted to just the DLC.
And then we talked earlier a bit about how, like, starting a new playthrough on Elden Ring and doing the checklist was like it's a bit of a chore, like getting your bell bearings and redoing all the shit, and like,
yeah,
you know, it's like it doesn't really.
I just find that, like, it, you know, the game is so vast compared to previous FromSoft games like Dark Souls and stuff, where it makes the replayability a little bit rough sometimes, because, you know, there's 120 some bosses, but, you know, you're never gonna fight all 100 whatever of them again. No. You know, and you always end up going through, like you said, the checklist of trying to get the bell bearings so you can upgrade your weapons. And I don't know, it's harder for me to replay Elden Ring now than it is compared to play like Dark Souls, just because it's more of a streamlined experience.
Yeah, but yet again, you've replayed Elden Ring a million times. You got 700 hours.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've got way more hours in Dark Souls, but I just don't have them added up on Steam.
Yeah, see, I like the more like the old Dark Souls games, I played most of them on console.
Yeah, like most of those hours are on my first character though, like.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just from my 5 playthroughs, grinding, you know, co-op, all that shit.
Yeah, we played a lot of co-op in that one. And then for hardness of the bosses in the DLC, Radon pre-patch was a bit of a fucking nightmare for me. Like, it took me 80 plus tries, and like, I consider myself a decent Elden Ring player. I just wasn't getting something, and he was fucking pushing my shit in non-stop.
Yeah, Consort Radon is just, I think he's a little bit insane in the aggressiveness that he has as compared to a lot of the bosses, and I think that there's so much fucking going on with all the effects that it kind of makes it a little bit hard to focus. The entire
fucking map, like, it's like the whole thing. Like, as soon as he's about to do it, run immediately in the other direction as fast as you fucking can.
Yeah, and like, it's an epic boss fight.
Yeah,
but I think that, like, it's just like, for me the biggest thing is, like, just there's so much fucking effects going on that, like, sometimes it's just hard to focus on Radon himself.
Yeah. It was like, I was getting so pissed off, but I loved it. When I finally beat him, I liked it. Like, it wasn't as hard as I don't think that fight was as hard as end boss of Sekiro, and I don't think that fight was as hard as the actual last boss of Black Myth Wukong, in my experience anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I beat the first boss of Wukong, like, my first try, so yeah, I don't know. Like, I personally don't think he's nearly as hard as
I don't know.
As Radon.
I had a fucking great deal of trouble with that boss.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know, like, the Radon is just so much more aggressive and puts the pressure on you compared to, like,
yeah, he is a bit more non-stop.
Great Shell Wukong or whatever. And you really have, like, not a whole lot of chances
not
to...
Not the last boss, Wukong, as in Wukong himself. Oh. I mean, like, the secret last boss.
Oh, like Erlang?
Erlang, yeah.
I don't know, like, I could get saying that Erlang is harder, but I think he's harder in, like, bullshit ways.
Yeah, he's
he's hard because he has you know, he constantly regenerates his armor, and I don't know, I think some of his parts in the
without the fan because you didn't know you could use it, which is insane to me, because I wouldn't have been able to realize that.
Yeah, but I remember it was like 5 in the morning or something. I was about to leave off for work for Night Shift, and I just had to lock in because I wanted to finish Wukong before I left. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that Erlang Shen fight, I don't know. Like, I do think it's hard, but I think it's hard for different reasons than like Radon is hard.
All right. So finally, let's rank each tier of games best to worst. So I would say Elden Ring goes number 1 slot on S tier.
Yeah, I definitely would put Elden Ring as the number 1.
And then next would be what? Would you say you're a
I'd say
huge
Dark
Bloodborne
Souls
fan?
3. No,
Dark
I
Souls-
definitely would say Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, Dark Souls 3 definitely for me. Well, that's for me anyway. And then for third spot,
Probably would put Sekiro.
yeah, Sekiro. For sure.
Sekiro there, and then for me, I personally would put. It's hard for me to pick in between Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but I would put Dark Souls first, and then Bloodborne,
I agree with that solely because I haven't beat Bloodborne yet, and I should. So
and then my only reasoning for this is just because I think like Lies of P and Neo have a little bit more Souls-like aspects to them and like RPG aspects to them than like Wukong is.
yeah,
Like Wukong is still an S tier game, but like I just think Lies of P and Neo should go first,
yeah, Lies of P,
and then
then
Neo.
then Wukong last.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all great
And
games.
then for A tier, I think definitely we have to put Demon Souls
Demon Souls
first.
up front. Yeah, Demon Souls up front. It's the OG. It's the original. It started it off. I would
And
go
probably-
for second spot, Jedi or Neo.
I probably would put Jedi Survivor and then Neo, then another Crab's Treasure.
Yeah, another crap. This is a game I still have to play. I'm probably gonna buy this next time it's on sale. Okay, so B tier is a little tricky, but I would say
For the
Dark
most of the
Souls
games,
2.
Dark Souls 2 definitely has got to be the top. I would put. What would I put next? Probably.
Shell or the first Jedi.
I would put Mortal Shell and then Jedi Fallen Order. And then we got
Remnant 1 and 2. We got Surge 2, and we got Ashen. I've never played Ashen, and I'm
gonna put Absolver and then Ashen. I like Absolver because it's the only one on this list that where it's like a martial arts Souls game, and like most of the time you can get weapons, but they break. You know,
Okay,
you're mostly
hold on.
fighting with your fist.
Speaking of martial arts, remember how sick we thought the martial arts build was going to be in Elden Ring, and it fucking sucks? Like, it's not.
It's not terrible. It doesn't suck, but it's not as good as you want it to be. I mean, the Ash of War for the Dryleaf arts has insane hyper armor, and you can one-shot some people with that shit. But like it goes with any like fist weapon. It's just a little bit too short range.
Yeah, you got to be up.
Not enough damage.
Okay, so Ashen, and then we got Remnant 1 and 2, and then we got Surge.
I'd probably say Remnant 2 and then 1.
Then Surge 2.
Surge 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems about right. So for the
E-tier.
C tier, Lords of the Fallen, I didn't like it that much. I would put it ahead of.
Yeah, I probably would put Lords of the Fallen first. And like Wolong did piss me off, but like it does probably have the better bosses in combat out of the rest of those. So.
Yeah. So now,
and then
Surge 1 is the only one I've played.
I'm gonna say probably a Notria, then Thymesia, and
then Surge 1.
A Surge, and then Code Vein.
Okay, now we got 9 souls in D. There's nothing else there, so it can stay there. And then the piece of shit fucking Steel Rising or whatever in straight booty.
Yeah.
Because it fucking sucks.
Yeah,
So
that's the only one I would say that belongs there.
that's pretty much the list though. So we got S tier's looking rock solid, A tier's good, B tier's, yeah, that's about right. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching the video. Catch you guys on the next one.
Yeah, thanks for watching.